In today's episode of The Written Compass, we're going to talk about money. Yes, there is a connection to money and writing. And I want to get into not only the true investment of writing and publishing, self-publishing a book, but also the money stories that show up sometimes as we are tapping within and getting to know the words and share the words with the world. As always, I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive right in. I recently had a wonderful conversation about money and writing with a new client. Basically, she was really in contraction after honoring her beautiful yes that was showing up, of stepping in and finally focusing her attention, investing her resources in getting her beautiful book that she'd been working on for a couple of years out into the world. So she had stepped into working with us. She had enrolled in one of our embodied writing programs, and she was doing something very, very normal, which was going into what we call contraction. After honoring her yes, there were a lot of gremlins that showed up. And guess what the focus was around? Money and writing. So in today's episode of The Written Compass, I want to get into it. I want to talk about money, and I want to talk about writing, and I want to talk about some of the things and connections that I see. And I want to talk about the real investment, the real cost of writing and publishing a book. So let's get started. Talking about money is sometimes a big, well, I'll speak for myself. It used to be like, whew, we're going to talk about money. Let me get my fan, let me get ready, let me stretch, because I still have the stories, the patterns, the old beliefs, but I've done a lot of work around myself and money and just receiving for my gifts and all that kind of stuff. Shout out to Laura Wick and Body Mind Coaching and all of my coaches. My goodness, Laura Wright, Amber Annette, so many people that I can thank, Rachel Rogers, like so many people that I can thank who have helped me recognize my own money stories and patterns and how they show up and impact my words. So, we often have this lofty notion of what writing and being a writer might look like. We might either have one or two things or both. Maybe we think of that vision of someone being a New York Times bestseller and making all the money, right? Like making bank from their book. Or we think it's a slog, right? To be a writer, it's this painful, excruciating thing, and they're often penniless, right? They're not making ends meet, right? Kind of the broke writer idea. And the truth, I would say, probably lies somewhere in between those two things. But this conversation with my new client really inspired me to talk very frankly about money and writing. Money stuff is going to show up when you write your book, even if you don't invest in any way, which today I'm actually just buckle up and be ready. I'm going to talk about the investment that I see is necessary to really get your book out in a way that you can be really proud of. And just even as I say that, just notice what shows up, right? You need to invest in order to get your book and your words out in a way that's going to feel and honor you at your highest level. How does that feel as I say it? Because the reality is writing has a price, just like not writing your book has a cost and a price. Even if it's just your time and your energy, there is an investment required. And there is likely going to be, as I'll talk about today, a financial investment. If you want to get that book out and put your best possible work out, why not rely and tap on and tap into the expertise of others, right? And invest in that, really ultimately investing in yourself. You ultimately get to decide how you want to use your resources, right? And I want to break down both the practical cost of self-publishing as well as the stories might show up as you step into this process. So let's get into some of the practical elements first, okay? Those are the things that we kind of can probably tangibly wrap our minds around. So there's kind of a couple of places where the opportunity to invest in yourself and your book are going to be really powerful. So one is editing. The other is cover design. And the other is interior formatting. Okay. Now, you can do research and you'll see lots of different ranges of what it costs to receive any of these three things. All right. Just because of what I'm sharing doesn't mean that's the end all be all. You do your own research, you find what you need to find, you come and ask me questions, right? But I'm going to start with editing, okay? The reality is that to hire a professional editor, which I'm going to talk about what even editing means, because there's lots of different types of editing that you can use, you're looking at $2,000 to $4,000. Very broad range. Are there going to be some less? Yes. Are there going to be some more? Absolutely. But here's what you're talking about. There's the type of editing where they're you'll often hear it as developmental editing or assessment, where someone is reading your words and giving you some kind of feedback on analyzing the manuscript. And the manuscript means the full draft of your book. So here, that typically you're going into having an editorial assessment with a full manuscript. So just feel into that. They're going to offer suggestions to guide your revision process, right? They're going to give you a potential evaluation, story, structure, all that kind of thing. A developmental editor is probably going to be a little bit more along the way type of editing. So they're going to read maybe 10 or so pages at a time, give you feedback, expect you to make the revisions off on your own, and then you come back, share the next group, right? Sometimes they will read top to bottom, but not all the time, okay? They're going to give specific guidance on elements of your big picture words. Then there's copy editing, okay? This is going to be the fine tuning, and this usually can incorporate the direct edits on a sentence level, helping you, eliminate repetitive words, anything that you might call corrections, right? And then proofreading, another level, is that final stage where they're trying to catch any potential spelling, grammatical, punctuation errors or mistakes. So that is the most polished version. So that is 4 different types of editing. All of those have a certain cost. Some professional editors will provide all of that service. Us in our embodied writing programs, we provide all of that with a much more hands-on, one-on-one, personalized, customized experience. But that is a real cost investment in your book publishing process. The other is cover design. And again, this varies wildly, but you can typically find someone who can help you with the cover design for under $1,000. I'll just say that outright. Probably can estimate around 300 to 500 often is what we see and what our own experience is, because we have a cover designer that's part of our team. But they're going to really help you with style and design. It depends on how many rounds you have to go, meaning if they share with you so many examples, based on what you're telling them you want, then you look at those, you ask for changes, and then they go another route, right? Like how many times that has to happen before you get to the final book cover design. All of that comes into play for the cost, right? And then if there's, ebook, paperback, hardcover, all of that kind of stuff can shift the investment required to create the cover that you really, really love. Cover design is really fun. We're in the process of doing it for a couple of our clients in our next collaborative book. And it is a process. So it definitely is an investment of time and resources. And I love it. It's so fun because I know the book is almost done and we're getting ready to hit publish. The other element is the book formatting. So that interior formatting, kind of like cover design, it can range, but you can typically have this done for under $1,000 as well. But this is all the things like the interior font, making sure, where the page number lies, anything you want in the header or the footer of your pages, how you want the indentation to go, what you want your chapter titles, if you've got, or any titles within the book, what you want those to look like, how you want those to be formatted. If there are any images that you're including or any interior design, you can go and look at our book, Who You Calling Crazy, or the Body Mind Method, and see how they've got some cool interior formatting for placeholders for videos that are a part of the book, or just fun things that transition from one section or chapter to another. So all of those things are part of the interior formatting and can raise the price, the cost, the investment, or lower it depending on what you need, right? And if you're publishing an ebook, there's a whole nother level and set of interior formatting considerations that need to be. Now, with all of these things, I'm going to eliminate editing in this one because I really think that is a human experience. We have a lot of tools that can help us find things, but the AI version of editing and all of that, like think of Word document spell check and grammar check, they're not going to catch everything, first of all, because I just don't understand the human language enough. And they're not going to know you might be doing some stylistic things that they might consider errors, and we don't want to edit those out, right? But in terms of book cover design, there's lots of tools now that you can use to create your own cover. I still think a graphic designer, someone who does this or knows how to do it, is always going to have the edge, but it is possible to do it yourself. And then also the interior formatting, same thing. There's lots of tools. There's lots of software. Sometimes those software do have an investment in themselves, but it's a one-time investment, and then you've got it and you can do it yourself. What we like to consider here is now I'm going to start to shift into kind of the energetic time and energy cost of such of these things, investment. What is the value of your time, right? How long do you want it to take for you to write and publish this book? Oftentimes, the old adage of time for money allows me to realize, hey, if I could have done it myself for free, quote, for free, I'm going to poke holes at that in just a minute, then I would have, right? And what will it feel like when I receive support around that? What is the energetic, what is my energy worth? What is my time worth, right? And so it really allows us to step into and realize that when it comes to my words and sharing my words, one, I can't put a price on that, right? So just notice how that feels. There is no price that will ever honor the value, the true value of you sharing your words with the world. It is a highly valuable commodity. And in many ways, I feel it is your job to share those words, right? However that wants to look. And then when we get into the nitty gritty of, yeah, I could figure out the interior formatting. Hey, I've done that. Trust me. Yeah, I can figure out the cover design. Yeah, I've done that. Go look at This Is the Year You Write Your Book cover. That was KDP. I did that quote for free. Guess what, y'all? It ain't that pretty. I don't like looking at it, right? That took a lot of time and energy. And so it's interesting to feel into what is the value of my time and energy, and what am I willing to invest in order to honor my time and my energy? What else do I get to do? How do I get to go and make money with my gifts and talents to not only cover the investment of supporting my words in my book, but also to support clients, which is ultimately what most of the people that I work with, that's what their book is doing, is helping them step into a next level of themselves, helping them expand their reach, their connection. And that leads me to why it's so important too, I believe, to have true support around the book writing process, not just someone who reads the words and corrects them, not just someone who provides a cover design for you, not just someone who does the interior formatting, but actually holds space for you and all the stuff that shows up and gets kicked up when you invest your time, your energy, and your resources into getting your words from the inside to the outside. That's what coaching support provides. That's what my clients get to receive, is they get to be held in the space and truly experience their words from beginning to end. That's not for everyone. Some people just want to very quickly, as fast as possible, get a book out there. Great. Do it. But there's some real power, transformative potential and power when we actually get to honor the words and experience them and invest our time, our energy, and our resources to do that. And that leads me to, what is the earning potential around your book? Now, you're going to do some research and you can see a wide variety of things. Most people, for the life of their book, don't sell any more than about 1,000 copies, often much less, right? For the lifetime of the book. Now, there's so many factors that go into how you get your book sold and all that good stuff. But here's the thing. if you are listening to this podcast and you're interested in writing your book, you're likely a very heart-centered, mission-driven human, a thought leader. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a business owner of some sort. And the book is a vehicle for all the other amazing things you are doing: supporting your clients, offering services, speaking, investing in your community, right? It's not just about having a book out in the world. It's what that book allows you, how that allows you to create connection with others. And so what my clients experience is that often it is a door opening for all kinds of other things, like selling their programs, right? I had a client who directly had people say, I read your book, I'm ready to join your program. And her program was a $15,000 program. That more than paid for her investment in writing the book. So it's interesting when we get into the money around writing and the cost. I like to consider it an investment. And so I love the idea of just playing with the stories, the patterns, the beliefs that show up, and leaning into those and really getting to know them and sussing out what's yours, what might be coming from, previous generations. Thank them heavily. We appreciate their support and help. But sometimes those beliefs are trying to keep us safe, and safe doesn't always mean happy or successful or following our true intuitive dreams and gifts and honoring ourselves. I'm curious what shows up for you as you listen to this episode. It was an interesting one to share. It's kind of a different one. So as always, leave comments, let me know, connect with me over on Instagram at @ShaynaHartman_. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Written Compass. If you are enjoying this content, do me a favor and go and review the podcast. This allows me to share and get these messages out to the people who really need them, who we want to read their books in the future. You can also go and share your thoughts and tag me at @ShaynaHartman_ on Instagram. Again, this is just a way for us to get connected and share the writing love. And if you know that you are ready to write your book, that message that's been burning inside of you for a long time, then I want to talk to you. My team and I want to talk to you. Head on over to ShaynaHartman.com and click Work with Us. From there, you'll see an application to explore and see if writing your book is your next best step.